bloods. Kentucky is one. John Calipari, of course, left Kentucky for Arkansas. You know, when you think about it, it's not the only time that these two schools have switched coaches. Eddie Sutton left Arkansas to go to Kentucky back in the day. Hall of Famer who had been to the Final Four. Man, this is going to be all kinds of passionate tonight when Cal returns to Kentucky. 15 seasons, second most wins in school history. It sort of made him the deputy baron of the Bluegrass behind Adolph Rupp. 410 wins there. National championship, 4 Final Four appearances. If you're going to quibble about the difference between ultra elite dynasty, that's probably it. Probably needed to cut down the nets one more time. And the draft picks. 37 first-round picks in the NBA draft. Certainly Cal will have a lot of emotion tonight.
Let me just say this. There'll be some emotions now walking into Rupp Arena. There will be. For me, you're not going to erase from my mind what we've done there, and you can't erase history. Do I have a soft spot for Kentucky? Yes. I was there 15 years. In my time, I don't remember them ever cheering an opposing coach. So I'm fine. All I know is the fans, they're terrific. They were terrific during our run. They're engaged. And my guess is they're going to be really engaged on Saturday.
I would think so, and certainly Kentucky a heavy favorite to win the game. Alyssa Lang joins us now from Lexington. So, Alyssa, you were there when John Calipari walked into Rupp. He apparently was familiar with the surroundings. What was the vibe like there when he came back?
Yeah, not only when he walked into Rupp, Rece, but I'm told as soon as he got off the plane here at the airport, greeting so many familiar faces. And going back to the press conference earlier this week, it was a similar message last night during Arkansas's brief shoot-around. Coach Cal hasn't shied away from the fact that this is going to be emotional. He pulled his team aside at the end of last night's session, talked to them briefly and said, look, I spent 15 years here. Some of you played here. Some of you won here as members of other teams, as he pointed to Jonas Adu, who was part of a Tennessee team who came to Rupp last year and got a win over Coach Cal's Kentucky Wildcats. He said, if we want to win against this Kentucky team, there's one thing that I need, and there's one word I'm going to use, not only for himself, but for his team. He wants them to be fearless.
But it is, you're fearless with nothing to lose. You understand? You go out. The courage is holding on for another 3 minutes till you see the light. Now we got to go get some games. We're doing all that. We're close. Let's go. We got to bust through. This would be a hell of a place to bust through. Woo! All right, let's get out of here.
That just part of what we heard from Coach Cal last night. He went on to say, look, playing here is a big deal. Teams that win in this building walk out on cloud 9. For an Arkansas team that has one conference win right now, Coach Cal said, look, we've had a great last 3 days of practice. I believe in you. And what better place to start stacking some wins than one of the biggest arenas in the country in one of the biggest games of the season. Rece?
That scene's going to be amazing, Alyssa. One of the interesting things you referenced, the Razorbacks who played for Kentucky. There are no Kentucky players. There are a couple of rostered guys who were on the roster with Cal, played a grand total of 5 minutes all season, but no one playing for Kentucky tonight actually played for John Calipari when he was there. So it's one of the things. This is all about the fans and all about the atmosphere. I'll tell you what's good. Secondary ticket market trying to get into Arkansas and Kentucky. 9 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. $633, the hottest Kentucky ticket at Vivid Seat History. And the fans, maybe some mixed emotions about seeing Cal return to the Bluegrass.
Oh, we were all in shock, I think, here. We had noticed a decline in our basketball season, but we were shocked when he left.
I wasn't too happy when he was leaving. Well, I mean, you kind of expected it, sports. So I can't fault him for it, but I was sad to see him go.
I'd remember him as someone who really put a lot of effort into young people and gave them a platform to get where they wanted to go.
One of the greatest of all time. I mean, you can't take it from him. He's earned everything he's got. Oh, I think there's going to be a whole lot of booing. Yeah, a whole lot.
Oh, well, if I know Kentucky fans, I feel like there's going to be a lot of boos.
Why would I boo him? He did great while he was here. He's still a great coach. So where he's at doesn't matter. He's still a great coach. Of course they're going to lose, but I'll be happy for him.
A little more than 23 years ago, Rick Pitino walked the aisle that John Calipari will today, out of the visitors' locker room, onto the floor at Rupp Arena, underneath the national championship banner that he put in the rafters, wearing a rival's red instead of that Kentucky blue. Rick told me this week that he expected the reception that day to be about 50-50. Instead, 24,000 booed lustily, and Pitino said, "It broke my heart." Well, time has healed that wound. He's back in the good graces of the Roman Empire of college basketball. And from one erstwhile Wildcat boss to the other, a message for the fans.
As you all know, I'm not best friends with John Calipari. I respect him, certainly. But it was a mutual thing. The fans wanted a change. John read the tea leaves. He needed a change. And he really didn't want to leave. But what did he do for you? He brought the best talent in the history of the game of any university in America to Lexington. He also won a national championship. He also his style of play was extremely entertaining. So he's coming back on Saturday, and I want all of you to show the great class that you have. 23,000 plus people giving him a huge standing ovation. Show him what respect and admiration's all about. I know you have the class. I've always believed in you. Do it once again.
There is some irony there for sure, and Rick acknowledged that. But, I think from talking to him this week, that moment stung him, and I do think he has a lot of empathy for what John's going to walk into tonight. It's going to be fascinating theater, however the Kentucky fans respond.
To me, it's going to be emotional for John. I mean, 15 years is a long time. 15 years, a lot of memories. 15 years, a lot of impact on your community, bigger than basketball. But everyone's talking about John being emotional. To me, it comes down to John didn't take this journey by himself. He took this journey with his family, with Aaron and Megan and Brad and his wife, Ellen. You're talking about when you make a move like this and you're coming back, they're going back to their home. It's emotional baggage for them as well as John, because one thing about your family, they're a group of Doberman pinchers. And when people are taking shots at you, it hurts them in the same way. So I think it's going to be emotional for John. I think it's really going to be emotional for his family.
Look, I'll say this. I'm not going to do what Rick Pitino did. I'm not going to tell Big Blue Nation how they should react.
How did that work? How did that work out for you?
I've learned not to do that, right?
It didn't work out well for you?
No, it did not. Right, and I will not make that same mistake twice. But what I will say, though, is that, look, I think time heals all wounds, right? And I think years from now, when John Calipari retires and comes back, people in Big Blue Nation will give him a standing ovation. They will appreciate him for the greatness that he's been able to accomplish there, winning a national championship and all the incredible draft picks he's brought through that organization. But as of right now, when you literally 2 days before you leave to your conference rival, when you tell your fan base you're going to be there for your entire career, that's not a great look. And you're going to your conference rival, your in-conference rival. So he's going to be booed, and that's going to be okay. He just has to expect it.
Yeah, he is going to be booed.
That's okay.
That is okay. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Fans are going to do what fans do, and that's great. It is going to be emotional, too, for some of the players. Like DJ Wagner and Thero played there last year. 3 of their recruits committed to Kentucky and wound up going to Arkansas with Cal. So it's not just about Cal, even though he's the lead story. But what Kentucky's done this year, like, look, it happened with Tubby Smith. Tubby Smith won a national championship there and had a great tenure. But after 10 years, they wanted to change. And he moved on to Minnesota. The same thing happened with Cal. These things run a course. But I agree, when he comes back in the future, it'll all be different. Mm-hmm. But now it's a competitive thing. It's still fresh, and the fans are going to react a certain way. And I'm cool. He can handle it. He'll be fine. He'd handle it better if his team was playing better.
Exactly.
That was going to be my point. The only thing that's really going to make it feel better is if his team can shut the crowd up. If his team can go out there and perform to a level where the crowd can't even get into it, but that's going to be the struggle. Listen, the worst thing you can do after a breakup is show up to the club with a downgrade.
Oh. What is this club you speak of?
Or a breakup. I know you all are happily married men, but am I right? Like, y'all know, like, you go through a breakup, then you show up to the bar, and your new isn't as good as your old was, and everybody's just looking at you like, that's that. You have to show up with an upgrade. That's the only way everybody is quiet. So if Arkansas could come in and shut the crowd up by playing at a high level, that is the only thing. What, y'all are married men? You don't know what it's like to go through a breakup? I know you've been through breakups before you were married. I know you were all happily married. I can't say the same.
I just wouldn't go out. I just stay at home.
I just know that I just kept upgrading till I got to the top.
That's it, you know? Yeah, but the issue is the upgrade for all of our wives when they dump us.
Oh, that's a problem. Yeah, I mean,
that'll be easy.
Yeah. Do we love upgrades after
we
a
shot
breakup?
outside of our range,
Yes,
all of us.
upgrades.
I know I was a project.
How's the project working out?
Trey. 38 late years
Coming
later,
along?
I don't know. She's about target right now, probably.
John Calipari returning to Lexington for the first time as the Arkansas head coach. Not long ago, visited with our friend Jimmy Dykes.
Coach, welcome back to Rupp. First of all,
How about it?
yeah, man, it seems still surreal a little bit to me, I'll be honest with you. So, get to the edge of the court, Cal, you look up, and there's a lot of banners up there that you're responsible for.
You know what? We had a heck of a run. And first of all, it was an honor and a privilege to coach here.
Okay.
And I appreciate the school giving me this opportunity. I appreciate the fans supporting me. I appreciate the players who I was able to coach. I mean, what we did in that span of time, you can't erase. I mean, it's history.
Yeah.
It's written. It's done.
Let's walk up here to the new bench that you're going to be sitting on tomorrow night. Give me a great memory of coaching in this building.
There were so many games in here that meant something. Beating North Carolina and having Anthony Davis come out of nowhere to block the last shot right there. We're down 18 to Miami of Ohio, the first game I coached in here. And it went down to the wire, and John Wall made a buzzer beater to win the game.
Yeah.
Like, if he don't make it, we may lose the game.
Right.
My first game.
How do you think you'll feel with 2 minutes on the game clock and you come out of that tunnel? What do you think?
There'll be a rush of emotions. You know, I hope I'm not looking into the seats, because I'm going to have some people that are friends that then you get emotional, and I don't want to get emotional. But this was 15 years. Look, the fans should be able to do what they want. If they want to boo, they want. If they want to cheer, they want to cheer. I'm not expecting like an overwhelming, you know, because I'm an opposing coach.
You are.
And I'm coming in here not to lose this game. And so they're, you know, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm walking in, it's going to be a hard game. You know why? Because they're a good team and they're well coached.
They are.
That's why.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we are. I don't even know if we're well coached.
What does Lexington mean to you in that area of your personal life, your family's life?
Again, when you spend 15 years of your life, you don't forget that.
No.
I will cherish this 15 years.
Sure you will.
My friends, most of them grew up here, so they're Kentucky fans.
Okay.
They're Kentucky fans tomorrow. I just hope they have Red Sox on. So, like I said, the support of the fans here, off the charts. The support of my friends and the supporters that we needed, it was always here.
Okay.
And I'll say it again, honored and privileged that I had this opportunity for 15 years. Now it's someone else's time.
Cross-pollination between these two programs, sort of interesting. I mentioned earlier, Eddie Sutton once moved from Arkansas to take the Kentucky job. Arkansas also had one of Kentucky's unforgettables. John Pelfrey is their head coach. I guess the question now is whether Cal is, at least for the moment, unforgivable for leaving and taking over the Arkansas program. It's a 9.5-point favorite for Kentucky. All of you believe that the Wildcats will win tonight on ESPN at 9 o'clock Eastern time. But if Cal were to win, how does it happen?
Recruit.
Tonight. It's probably a little late. I know the portal's wide open these days. Probably tough to get Cooper Flagg to Lexington by tonight.
Without Lamont Butler in the lineup for Kentucky, that means there's not going to be as much pressure on the ball. So, in my view, what Kentucky needs to do is attack the paint relentlessly and attack the glass relentlessly, get second shots. They're certainly going to have to get back in transition, but one of the ways that you deal with Kentucky's transition is run better offense. Your offense has to help your defense to keep Kentucky out of transition. But I do think that Arkansas can get into the paint Kentucky's not a great defensive team. They're solid. They're a great offensive team. But I think Arkansas is going to have the ability to get into the paint, and if they finish plays at the rim, get fouled, and then they hammer the offensive glass, they'll have a chance in rough.
You know, your first answer for Arkansas might well be the answer for North Carolina right now, too.